Okay, welcome to our birthday card code along. So kind of the main goals here is to show you how to import fonts and just a reminder of how to do images as well. I know a lot of this could be possibly done in HTML, but you can make this dynamic, meaning it could make stuff move or appear depending where you click. And that's kind of where JavaScript shines. So the first thing we're going to want to do is get our images. I have the balloon image sitting right here already on my desktop, ready to go. And then it looks like I'm going to need some different fonts. And I picked two Alex Brush and Mont, or at least that's what I named them. And to find these fonts, I think this place Font Squirrel is great. So you just go and you download whatever font you want. You have to make sure it's a TTF or an OTF. So you just hit like download and it should go to your computer. Now notice that this is zipped. So I'll just show you. If I go and save this here, it should show up on my desktop. There we go. You are going to have to extract it. So I just hit extract, and now I can open this up. And you're going to see that I have like italics or bold or whatever it happens that I want. You have to just pick that one item to upload. Now for us, we're not going to go with too complicated with the italics and stuff. So we're just going to go back and forth and kind of look at what we want to make. So first, get our images in here and our fonts. I'm going to create a folder. Because I have fonts and images, I'm just going to call this assets, meaning all the things that we actually need for our program. So I'm going to upload some files. I need those balloons. I need my Alex Brush font and my Mont font. There we go. So those are the three that I have picked. Again, your choice of kind of what pictures you want to put on there. And what I'm going to do first is look what size this was. So it was a 600 by 400. And then I'm just going to kind of look at the writing as well as we go. Let's get the writing done first. So it just says, hey, happy birthday. Somewhere kind of in the middle there. So text. And we will do happy birthday. Now we have to decide where we want that to be. Gotta close those quotation marks. There we go. Okay, so now I knew this comma shouldn't be green when I'm doing that. That's why I kind of changed what I'm doing there. And I'm gonna do my width. Now I always want this to be centered. So like I could choose where on the canvas it is, but I always want this to be centered. And this is called a property. So whatever the width is of my canvas, I want it to be half of that. So I'm going to say width divided by 2. And then I'm also going to do height, which is another property divided by 2. Meaning that should make this go in the center of my canvas. So if I hit play now, well, it's a little off to the side because this corner here is actually where it's as our X, Y. So this is the dead center of the picture. So if I wanted to, I'd have to move it over a little bit. And so maybe we will, I don't know, we'll go width divided by 2 out. It is helpful. It worked pretty good for the height. It looks a little bit weird with that. So we'll just make this like, I don't know, 200 would be centered. So let's go 150 maybe. See how that looks. Ooh, way too much. Wait. Oh, sorry, 300 would be centered. So then 250. Okay, that looks pretty good there. Now let's just change the font on that then. So what font does it look like I used there? That looks like my Mont font. Okay, so the first thing, just like images, we need to create a variable to store it. So I'm just going to let this be my, I'll just call this Mont. And I'm just going to initialize it. And then we're going to have to make that function preload. And just like images, you need to preload your fonts so they can be called whenever they're needed. So I already said I want that to be my Mont. And I'm going to make that equal to. And we're going to just tell it, hey, I want you to load, but instead of image, it's going to be load font. And I want the Mont one. Let's do Mont.otf. Now this won't work for two reasons. The first thing is it's in a folder, so we're going to need to call it assets. And then slash, and then I also need to actually go and put this in quotation marks. There we go. So now it should load. It shouldn't have an error. Perfect. So now if we go to our text, then we can start putting our text font. So text, and it's just called text font. And we just put whatever variable we called that font that we want. So I called it Mont. So I'm just going to type in Mont. And now it should change that happy birthday. Perfect. Now it looks a little small. I can actually go in here and just put the size here as well. It should get bigger as well. Now the other thing about this, you can do like your text size. Like that's perfectly acceptable as well. But it's kind of nice when I'm just doing this one line here that I'm already choosing the font. Might as well just choose the side as well. But it looks like now this is shifted way too far over. Yeah, let's make it a little bigger as well, that font. There we go. That's nice. And let's go to 200. Okay, perfect. It looks pretty good. Okay, so now we've got that text font there. There is another way to do this though. And what I can do, so I went through all this work going back and forth. Rather than the text always picking from this corner as my XY, I can actually say that I want to text align, because that's getting a little bit annoying. And I can say, hey, I want you to pick the center of the text is my XY that I'm choosing. So if I click this, it should shift over a little bit. Yeah, so this somewhere here is what I told it, this 200. So if I'm using that, I can actually go back and do what I originally wanted to do, which is just go width divided by 2. So the width of my text and divided by 2. And there you go. Now it's for sure centered, no matter what happens. And this will be more useful if someone was to like make this bigger or smaller. And we can change the canvas size. Like if I go to 800, and you're going to see it's still centered, which is nice. Okay, so back to 600. All right, what other text do I need on there? So I got a joke here. What type of cake do ghosts prefer? An ice cream cake, of course. I know, bad joke. Okay, so let's go here and we'll put some text and we'll say, hey, what type of cake do ghosts prefer? All right. For that one, I just want it kind of somewhere over here. So I'll say it's 10, a little further down. So maybe like 300. See how that looks. Oof. Oh, okay. So this text size that I did here and this text font is also affecting this. Plus my text align is also still in the center. So for this text, I want to know where it starts. So I'm going to change that text align. And I want it to be on the left side. So you could also do right. So this should make it all move over. I also think that's way too big. Just to make life easier, I'm going to just use the text font again, because I want this to be a different text font. But for now, I'm going to leave it as Mont. And I'll maybe make this like a 20 size. Maybe a little more reasonable. There we go. That looks better. Now I want to use this Alex brush as my other font for this one. So I need to go back to the top again. And I'll just call this Alex to initialize it. And then I need to load that font into the computer. So we got Alex is equal to load font. And again, because this is inside a folder, so assets, and then what did I call that? Oh, it's just Alex brush. It's a little longer than I'd like. And this one is a TTF. There we go. Okay. So now, if I go back into my, here I can make it so you can see everything. There we go. If I go back into my text font, now I just change this variable name to where I stored the font. It should be Alex. And there you can see it change. Now that looks a little bit small. So let's go to 25. There, that looks good. And now our joke. Now we haven't quite learned how I could make it so when I click a button, like the joke answer comes up. We're not quite there yet. Well, actually, I'm just going to leave it the way it is. Using if statements is by far the best way to do it, and it becomes a lot more convoluted if you don't use it that way. So let's just finish this off and make our card. So finish the joke. So we have what? Text, and the answer is an ice cream. I didn't put I. Come on. There we go. An ice cream cake. All right. And I want a little bit further below, so let's do like 10 and then 330. See how that looks. Looks good. Okay. You know what? I'm almost wondering if I should flip these two fonts around. And this is the nice thing with how we've made this with variables too, is I think that the joke would be easier to read. So I'm going to change this to Mont. I'm going to change this to Alex. That should change around. I think it'll look a little better. There you go. That does mean that this needs to be a little bit bigger though. Let's do like 40 size for the happy birthday. Maybe even bigger. Like 60. Okay, there we go. I'm going to make our joke a little bit smaller. Maybe like 22. There we go. There, that looks much better. Okay, so if we go back to original card, it is a little different. It looks like I've got some text about the background color is a little different as well. But you can play around with that. You can play around with the size as well. The bigger problem is these balloons that are sitting here still. Anything else? Yeah. So color-wise, I'll let you play with that on your own. I'm just gonna make those balloons just because kind of a review. So we're gonna let balloon. That's gonna be my variable for my image. And now I have to load that image. So it's gonna be balloon equals load image. Again, I have this sitting inside my assets folder. And what is that one? That's PNG. So it's just called balloon. So nice and easily named PNG. I didn't put a quotation mark there. And that should load it. Just make sure there's no errors. Perfect. And now we actually just want to make that come up. And we're going to our draw function. Okay, so we're going to do image. And then I'll call my balloon. Now, where do I want this? I kind of want it in the corner, I think. Let's just see it 0, 0. And then size-wise, like 300 by 150. So my width and my height. Let's see how that looks. Oh, that looks not bad. Now you can see there's some color issues there. I'm not going to play around with that color here, but just as a reminder how to put that image, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm going to leave it like that. You can play around with that. Make your picture transparent, kind of like our Charmander came up and stuff. I think we're going to call that good. The only other thing that I really noticed is that we have not like commented on anything. So this should say, hey, this is our balloon, which I know it's obvious it says balloon, but, and then this is our happy birthday writing. And here is our joke writing. There we go. So now if someone reads this, they know exactly what they're looking at. And yeah, we're all done.